Welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Enung coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. The federal government press cancels National Economic Tourism Compendium. Adamawa Governor Fintiri defects to APC. Plus, Pakistan strikes Afghanistan as Prime Minister Sharif says forces ready to crush Taliban. Details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. We begin the news at 4 from the national scene where the federal government has endorsed and pledged full support for the Nigeria's Press Council's NPC proposed national compendium documenting the economic and tourism potentials of the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the assurance at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, during a courtesy visit by a delegation from the NPC, led by its Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Dili Ezugaha. Shettima described President Bola Tinubu as long-standing a friend of the media and a firm believer in the independence of the press, stressing that the administration has, over the last 3 years, sustained an atmosphere conducive to journalists operating without intimidation. In a statement issued by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President Stanley Nkwocha, Shettima pledged presidential backing for the NPC's request for official national endorsement of the publication titled Nigeria, documenting the economic and tourism profiles of the 36 states and the FCT. Meanwhile, the federal government has taken a major step towards expanding financial inclusion with the inauguration of the board of the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, Credicorp. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who performed the ceremony at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, emphasized that access to consumer credit is critical to the country's ambition of becoming a $1 trillion economy. Shettima said Credicorp was established by the President Tinubu administration in April 2024 to build a trusted credit infrastructure, provide catalytic capital to lower borrowing costs, and help Nigerians overcome long-standing cultural resistance to credit. According to the Vice President, improving the quality of life of Nigerians require closing the gap between the access to capital and human dignity. In the meantime, the federal government has directed all ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, to strictly comply with the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF, as part of efforts to strengthen budget credibility and promote fiscal discipline across public institutions. The directive was issued by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, during a courtesy visit by the Fiscal Responsibility Commission in Abuja. He stressed that adherence to the framework was essential for maintaining accountability in public spending and ensuring a stable fiscal environment. According to him, MTEF adherence is critical for a coordinated and disciplined fiscal environment supporting economic growth. Akume explained that the framework helps government spending reflect national priorities and development goals. And from the Red Chambers, the chairman of the Senate Committee on the Southeast Development Commission, Senator Orji Kalu, has clarified that the proposed 25 billion naira increase to the Commission's 140 billion naira 2026 budget was initiated by the committee, not Southeast governors. Presenting the committee's report to the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Kalu said the additional 25 billion naira was was to support impactful development projects across the region, adding that 5 billion naira was proposed for each of the states, Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and the committee chairman noted that the commission received minimal funding in 2025, leading to the suspension of key projects. He added that the augmentation would enable the SEDC to accelerate projects in the health and education sector, in line with the federal government's renewed hope agenda. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has revised the timetable for the 2027 general elections, moving the Presidential and National Assembly polls to January and the Governorship and State Assembly elections to February. In a statement, the National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee, Mohammed Haruna, said the Commission approved the revised timetable and schedule of activities following changes in the electoral law. According to INEC, the Presidential and National Assembly elections will now hold on Saturday, January 16, 2027, while the Governorship and State Houses of Assembly elections will take place on Saturday, February 6, 2027. The Commission also outlined key milestones in the revised timetable. It stated that the conduct of party primaries, including the resolution of disputes arising from them, will commence on April 23, 2026 and end on May 30, 2026. It added that Presidential and National Assembly campaigns will commence on 19 August 2026. Governorship and State Houses of Assembly campaigns will commence on 9 September 2026. The Commission reminded political parties that campaigns must end 24 hours before Election Day and warned that it would strictly enforce compliance. Elsewhere, the United Nations has reaffirmed its commitment to supporting Nigeria's democratic journey, describing the nation's electoral success as critical, a benchmark for the stability and progress of the African continent. The U.S. resident and humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, Mohammed Fall, stated this when he led a delegation to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), its headquarters in Abuja, congratulating the INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amupiton, on his appointment. Fall said the world is expecting to learn from Nigeria due to its demographic weight and its electoral processes. He highlighted the UN's Leave No One Behind principle, stressing the need for the inclusion of youth, women and persons with disabilities, PWDS. Away from that, Adamawa State Governor Umaru Fintiri has announced his defection from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC). He announced this in a state broadcast today. The governor said he moved with all his cabinet members, appointees and elected local government chairmen. He said his decision was made in the interest of the people of Adamawa State and national unity, emphasizing the need for stronger alignment with the federal government to advance development priorities. And now to Africa, where Zambia has halted a proposed $1 billion U.S. health funding agreement over clauses tying aid to mining partnerships, joining Zimbabwe and Kenya in pushing back against what African nations view as sovereignty-compromising conditions. The 5-year deal with Zambia, intended to combat HIV and AIDS and malaria, stalled after the U.S. linked funding to a bilateral compact involving copper and cobalt access. Reports say the deal would slash U.S. funding to life-saving programs while prioritizing mining corporations over Zambians with HIV. On the foreign scene, Pakistan strikes the Afghan capital Kabul as part of a wave of attacks across the country. The Pakistani strikes today came after the Afghan Taliban announced a major offensive against Pakistani military posts near the border yesterday. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said the country has the full capacity to crush any aggressive ambitions, while the Defense Minister Khawaja Mohammad declares open war on the Afghan Taliban. Still on the foreign scene, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India and Israel would deepen cooperation in defense and artificial intelligence as he concluded a two-day visit to Israel. Modi and his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu said in a joint statement that their countries would work towards pursuing a free trade agreement. Reports say during the visit, Modi toured Yad Vashem, Israel's Holocaust memorial, and addressed the Knesset, where he condemned the October 2023 Hamas-led attack on Israel. And still to come in the news. Real Madrid, Chelsea, Arsenal to discover opponents in Champions League round of 16 today. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more to come in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News within the hour. Going now to our business scene, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has found that maintenance lapses account for between 10 and 15% of energy waste in factories, while most facilities lack sub-metering systems needed to track consumption. The findings emerged from a cleaner production assessment conducted in 42 industries across 4 geopolitical zones and presented at the National Stakeholders Sensitization Workshop on ISO 5001 and 14,001 standards in Lagos. The assessment, carried out under the Jeff Unido Industrial Energy Efficiency IEE and the Resource Efficiency Cleaner Production Project RECP, covered sectors including food and beverages, basic metals, wood and wood products, textiles and leather, and petrochemicals. Presenting the technical findings, IEE and RECP national expert Obafemi Adejumo said the study exposed a wide gap between current practices and global best standards. He noted that the study uncovered significant industrial energy efficiency gaps across the country. In health, the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare has told the Federal High Court in Lagos that the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control is fully empowered by law to enforce the ban on the production and sale of alcoholic beverages in sachets, PET bottles and glass bottles below 200 milliliters in a counter-affidavit in response to a suit instituted by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project. The ministry maintains that NAFDAC's regulatory and enforcement powers are clearly provided for under its establishing law. The ministry, through its lawyer Jumoke Falaye, stated that it does not and has never interfered in the operations of NAFDAC, stressing that it is not an enforcement agency of the federal government. It added that it lacks the legal authority to direct or restrain the agency in the discharge of its statutory duties. And still in health, the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, says Nigeria's new National Drug Control Master Plan, NDCMP 2026 to 2030, will strengthen efforts to combat drug abuse and trafficking across the country. He made the remark at the agency's national headquarters in Abuja while receiving the final evaluation report on the 2021 to 2025 drug control strategy. Marwa said the new plan was designed to improve existing measures and address identified gaps in drug control operations. According to him, the National Drug Control Master Plan 2026 to 2030 will strengthen Nigeria's ongoing drug control efforts, particularly in areas affecting public health and national security. Moving now to the world of sports, Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen has now scored more goals in the UEFA Champions League than his boyhood hero Didier Drogba. Osimhen helped Galatasaray secure a place in the round of 16 of the competition at the expense of Juventus on Wednesday night. The striker scored Galatasaray's first goal in the 3-2 defeat at the Juventus Stadium. Osimhen's goal was his 16th in the Champions League, one more than Drogba, 15th, putting him in second position in the all-time Africa scoring chart. On our entertainment news, Nigerian screen icon Omotola Jalade Ikehinde has screened her debut feature movie, Modest Love, at the 34th edition of the Pan-African Film Festival, PAF, in Los Angeles. In recent months, the actress and producer has premiered the project across multiple international platforms, including the Dubai International Film Festival, the Silicon Valley African Film Festival, SWAV, the Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF, and the African International Film Festival, AFRIF. The Lagos premiere of Modest Love is scheduled for March 1st, with a nationwide theatrical release set for March 6th, 2026. The film tells the story of a family, of sacrifice and the cost of love when power and fear collide. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Inung. Enjoy the rest of your day.